Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. Everything here is good. And I totally forgot to hit publish yesterday. So I published yesterday's video this morning. And I wasn't going to talk about books today because I figured, like, let's mix it up. But you know what? Let's just stay with it. I mentioned yesterday that I might review this book. I'm kind of going to do that, but also kind of not. This is Dead Letter by Dan Willis, the Arcane Casebook Zero, like point 0.5. I picked this up. I believe I saw an ad on Facebook for Dan Willis for the Arcane Casebook, and I see these ads a lot that are like fans of I just completely forgot the name of my beloved detective series. What's it called? You know, the one with the Wizard Detective series. Fans of that will love this. And so this ad came up for Dan Willis, and I thought, okay, Harry Dresden. I love that series. It's a very good series. And so I thought, here's a self-published author who's got a whole series of books about a wizard, detective. And I went to his website, and a lot of these self-published people, if you go to their websites, they'll give you either the first book in the series, or they have an introductory novella that they'll give to you for free if you sign up for their newsletter or whatever. So I signed up and I downloaded the book, and I read it in like a couple hours. It's a very short novella. And it's not it. I don't think I'm going to continue reading his series. Unfortunately, I've mentioned before that I mentioned it a lot of times in the history of this show that I've been on this quest to find a modern pulp author, a modern like dime novel not author, and so I've been looking for those. This one is not this for one. Not to talk about this person's writing, but the setting is not modern. It's like a magical 40s, 30s, whatever, New York. The other book that I reviewed yesterday from Simon, the Nightside series, is a little bit more modern. But I've been looking for contemporary, like doesn't even necessarily have to have a fantasy element, but I would love to have a fantastical element, contemporary pulp novel. Like a series would be great. It doesn't have to be, though. I've read some, like the hard case crime books are very similar. But what I'm looking for, there was this segment of books that I don't think I have named it this, but it feels kind of gatekeepy, whatever, called men's adventure literature. And this was like, it was Westerns fall into that category. When you went to the supermarket and the paperbacks were on the thing, and half of the rack was 75% of the rack was romance novels, there were other paperbacks that were men's adventure books. They would be detective stories. They would be, travel adventures, whatever. Those books. There's got to be somebody writing those today that's worth reading. Both of these two books that I've just recently read, these wizard detective books, are just bad. And I look at something like, say, Sherlock Holmes. This is what the dime novel used to be. Sherlock Holmes are like 150-page dime novels. Like that's where this whole generation came from. And they're very well written, very well thought out, very well plotted, fun stories that have cool mysteries. Who's writing those books? Do they exist? When I pick up a Stephen King book, yeah, it feels a lot like a quick little dime novel, but unfortunately, it's 500 pages. It's not the 50 to 60,000 word novel like the pocket book novel. There has to be somebody writing those, and there's got to be a publisher for those, other than Hard Case Crime, that's doing quick little books like that are also extremely well written, extremely well edited. What I found in this Arcane Casebook series, it's very poorly edited, very poorly written, just not for me. And the interesting thing is that this guy, I know for sure that the Arcane Casebook author is self-publishing, but he is a traditionally published author. He wrote a lot of books in the Dragonlance D&D world with like Tracy Hickman and stuff. So I know he's a established author, but it seems like, especially in this first book, Dead Letter, this free, like, you know, what's intended to be an advertisement for the series, it's just so poorly written. It's hard to justify, like, well, okay, I'm going to keep reading. Now, that being said, the story is good. I think that this guy, this Dan Willis, has a really good grasp on character, a really good grasp on motivation and a good pacing. Like, the book is paced well, the story is interesting, the characters are interesting. It's just the writing is really amateur, just really bad. There's a lot of really awkward dialogue, a lot of really forced interactions that felt like he was scrimping on words on purpose because he was trying to keep this as short as possible for his free book. Instead of giving us just an extra sentence to explain a situation, he'll leave you just going, I don't have a clue why the character said or did that, other than to just move the story along. Like, there's no other, so there was a lot of those moments when reading this. But I think I don't think I'm going to continue reading the Arcane Casebook based on this book, but that doesn't mean it's not for anybody. I think there's people out there. But what I'm looking for is something like this. Detective story doesn't have to be a detective. It could be, movie making, whatever. It could be a creature feature. I have downloaded now some examples of modern pulp writers that I found, such as Hunter Shea is writing creature feature books that are just completely ridiculous. I downloaded one of his books. I downloaded Josh Mallerman. That's the guy who wrote Bird Box. He does short little horror books. Looking forward to reading that. I'm just looking for more of the classical, like, again, men's adventure or detective mystery pulp style book, where the plot is key. We're just going on an adventure. We're just doing a thing. And the characters are typically just kind of badasses who get away with whatever they want. It doesn't have to be that. I'm not saying that in order to write a book that's only 150 pages or whatever, you can't have character. That's definitely not true. I mean, Sherlock Holmes has a ton of character, but these books are very short, very concise, very well written. Who's writing those kind of books, but in a modern setting with modern interests? That's what I'd like to find. I'm currently listening to a podcast that somebody mentioned in a Discord channel that I'm finding I like it very much. It's called Sherlock and Company, and they have taken the idea that Dr. Watson is a podcaster, a quote true crime podcaster, and so he's following Sherlock around and reporting on it. Very well done. Very much what I'm looking for, except for in written form. I'd love to find a written form where they've updated all of the tropes to fit into modern technology, modern society, and they've kept the same sort of formulaic approach to the books. I'm going to keep trying, though. I'm going to keep reading things that are recommended to me or things that I find just through Googling to try to find that niche that I'm looking for. But for right now, most of what I'm finding that I enjoy comes from magazines. I'm reading, like short fiction magazines. My current favorite is what's it called? It's a Cthulhu magazine. It's called Cosmic Horror Monthly. Very well curated stories with some classics thrown in. So check that out if you're interested in this sort of thing. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, do you have any authors to recommend? I'd love to hear. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow, assuming I remember to publish. Today's word you should know sounds smart is transient. It is an adjective meaning temporary, lacking performance. To the artist is sometimes granted a sudden, transient insight which serves in this matter for experience. A flash, and where previously the brain held a dead fact, the soul grasps a living truth. At moments, we are all artists. Arnold Bennett, an English novelist. Transient. Transient. Do we still call, like, hobos transients? Is that a thing?